All right, so yesterday and the day before, you were given equations and you had to figure out the zeros where they crossed on the graph. Today we'll just do it backwards. I'm going to give you the zeros and you tell me the equation that they make. Okay? So here's what we're going to start with. Find a cubic polynomial. So cubic tells you what power does it have to end up with?
3.
Okay. Find a cubic polynomial that ends up having zeros at 4 and -3 and 2/5. Find a cubic polynomial with zeros. I heard Kayla say it. She's like, "Oh, fractions," and that's fine. We're going to get rid of the fractions because yeah, none of us like working with fractions. So notice, I'm not asking you to make a graph that has zeros, -3 and 2/5. You should know how to do that. Make me a graph that has those. What I'm asking is for you to make me a polynomial. All right, where do zeros come from? They come from factors, right? So you work your way backwards now. If the zeros are 4 and -3 and 2/5, where are the factors that they came from? So where did the number 4 come from? Okay, that's not a factor. X minus 4, that's the factor, okay? And the number -3, what factor did it come from?
X plus 3.
And how about the fraction 2/5? What did that come from?
X minus 0.5.
X minus 2/5. Okay, now we don't want to use decimals, but we would like to clear the fraction out. So what can we do to help ourselves clear out the fraction?
Wait, couldn't it be like 5x minus 2?
Exactly, we're going to multiply by 5 so that we can clear out the fraction. So instead of using x minus 2/5, we're going to have x minus 4, x plus 3, and we're going to have 5x minus 2. What we did is we times those numbers by 5, and so that gave me 5x minus 2. That way I don't have to use fractions. And now comes superfoil. All right, so if you're a fan of algebra and you like foiling, you're going to need to now do superfoil. So now there's 3 of them, so just do 2 at a time. So let's do the front 2. First outside, inside, last. So we'll have x squared plus 3x minus 4x minus 12. But I still have the 5x minus 2. So how could I simplify those front set of parentheses? What can I combine to make that a little bit simpler? The middle part. So I end up with -1x minus 12. Okay, then I want to superfoil to the 5x minus 2. So start with your x squared and take that to the 5x and take all of those things to the 5x. So we have 5x cubed minus 5x squared minus 60x, and then take all of those things to the -2. So we'll take all those pieces to the -2. So that will give me -2x squared, positive 2x, and positive 24. And then you simplify by grouping the like terms together. Are there any other cubic terms? Are there any other squared terms?
Yes.
How many altogether?
2.
So -7x squared. Are there any other x terms?
Yes.
Okay, so what do we end up with?
-58.
-58x. And then what's the only other one I haven't dealt with
Plus
yet?
24.
Okay. Did I end up with a cubic polynomial?
Yes.
Oops, except I wrote 2 instead of 3. What's the lead term?
5.
Okay, so which tells you it's a lead term on a cubic, so the right side should be going up, but the left side would be going down. And if I was graphing it, it would cross through the 3 places that we said it would cross through. Now, I'm not graphing it right now, just coming up with the equation. Okay, let's try one more. No. It's just practicing. The graphs will be on our open quiz next week. Okay? All right. Find a cubic polynomial with zeros at -1/2 and 3 multiplicity 2.
Okay. Let's just do 3.
Okay, so where did these zeros come from? Well, they came from factors. So where did the -1/2 come from? X plus 1/2. Okay, what did the 3 come from? X minus 3, but it needs to be multiplicity 2. So I can either put a square on it, or I really just suggest writing it twice, because you're going to have to FOIL it out anyway. Before I start FOIL, I want to clear up the fraction. So what should that factor look like instead? 2x plus 1. That's because I multiplied the parts of that fraction by 2 so that I could get rid of the fraction. And then I still have x minus 3 followed by x minus 3. Okay. No, you gotta FOIL it out. So if you can FOIL 2 at a time, I don't care what order you do it in. I usually would go with the matching 2 first personally, but it would work whatever order you did it in. But I'm going to do my x minus 3 with my other x minus 3. That's going to give me x squared minus 3x minus another 3x plus 9. So that gives me 2x plus 1 in front of x squared minus 6x plus 9. So that's where you were missing that middle term, Jaylani. Okay, then you want to superfoil that. So take your 2x and do it to all those pieces that come after it. So that'll give you 2x cubed minus 12x squared plus 18x. And then take the 1 and superfoil that to all the 3 pieces. So we end up with x squared minus 6x plus 9. Which allows me to combine the like terms. There's no other cubic terms. There are a couple squared terms, so together they make 11. There are a couple regular x terms. I get 12x, and then 9 was the thing hanging out on the end by itself. So if I was asking you, this would be a lead coefficient of 2, which is positive, on an odd polynomial. So that means the right side would go up, the left side would go down. A graph would cross at those two numbers but bounce off at 3.